All right, and welcome back to.
Whoop.
Whoop.
That was interesting.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, welcome back to Saturday Night Chit Chat. We always have some little crazy things. That's what live streaming is all about, but it's all good. But I'll tell you what, everybody, I was telling Dave in a text before we jumped on tonight how, I haven't talked to him in quite a while, and I'm actually looking forward to, besides this interview, just kind of seeing what's going on with him and everybody in Hookah. So everybody, please, on the show, please welcome Mr. Dave Katz from Acoustic Hookah. How you doing today or tonight, Dave?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, man. So I always start off with the same question, and I'll pose that at you. What have you been doing for this last crazy, surreal, year we've lived in?
Just trying to get by, man. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as music goes and that type of thing, just a lot of streaming from right here in my
Yep.
basement. I actually stopped doing that a couple months ago. I kind of got started to wear on me a little bit. The playing by myself.
I get it totally. Yep.
But I did it for a while, and it was fun in a very strange way.
Right.
Definitely appreciated the support and people watching, and
Yeah.
and giving me their time and giving me some sense of, I don't want to say normalcy, but some sense of being able to do what I love to do, I guess. As best I could pull it off. But I basically, I've been doing that until recently, and then I started doing. I also did a couple of like solo outdoor shows in people's backyards.
Oh, nice. Was that just you or the whole band? Just you?
Just me.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, they were all just me, except I did one with like one other guy, like a
Right.
two-piece kind of thing. But
Yep.
very socially distanced and all that stuff.
Of course. Yeah.
Which was great. I mean, just playing in front of anybody
Yeah.
live
I
was
bet.
amazing, at the time. And then recently, after getting vaccinated and all of that, I did a couple of indoor socially distanced shows.
Oh, nice.
Again, not with Hookah, but with like other things. I have a thing going called Trial by Fire.
Yeah.
And actually you played with me with Joe Marcinek before.
Oh, yeah. Did you do a show with Joe? Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's a member of Trial by Fire.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
And so, we did a couple of shows, little things here and there. And then finally, what was it, not this past weekend, but the weekend before that, Acoustic Hookah finally played again. It was our first show in 14 months, and we did a big like pod show at Legend Valley for our 30th anniversary.
Oh, nice. And there's plenty of room to spread out there for sure. That's a big spot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was an amazing feeling.
Dude, I'll tell you what, and I was going to talk to you about this a little bit later on in the interview, but I'll just go ahead and bring it up right now. I saw some photos from that, and and I know you know this, but it's so incredible. When I was seeing the expression on all the people's faces that are at your show, I mean, you guys have like created like such this like really incredible community of, I mean, obviously they're fans, but it goes way beyond that, as I know and it's just people, you've seen families grow in front of your eyes, during your time, and it's just, you can just see there's so much, and this is not to, suck up or make you feel good about it. I mean, it is what it is. It's like you just see those photos and you can just kind of feel it coming out of there. It's just such a cool thing to see, what you guys have done with the band. It's become like a community, as you know.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very lucky that way. I don't even, in a sense you could say, well, it's something that we helped foster, but I look at it the other way around, that they helped foster us in a sense,
Sure,
and,
right.
We really, from way back when in the 90s, it was always this like great community of people. Like you said, I mean, we've seen families growing now. Somebody will come to me and say, hey, I love you guys. This is the second time I've seen you, and I got turned on to you by my grandfather.
Right.
Like, wow. Whoa, your grandfather.
Right.
And then they're like, and there he is right there. They got 3 generations.
Still there. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's a special feeling, and it's special people.
Yeah.
And it could have turned out a lot worse as far as the type of crowd, you know, that gathered at our shows. I mean, and I think that because of them, it created an atmosphere that people felt comfortable coming to, bringing their kids to.
Right.
And without that, we would not have probably sustained as long as we have, I would guess.
So let's zap back a little bit. I'm assuming like when you started out as a kid, did you do the piano thing, or were you more of a guitar player at first? Because you obviously do both now. So I'm assuming piano was your first kind of foray into music.
Yeah, I was kind of forced to take piano lessons.
Okay.
I never took a guitar lesson. I picked that up. I was in another band in the '80s that was like a glam rock band.
Oh wow.
And it had success up to a reasonable point.
Sure.
But I kind of had to learn to play guitar because there was only so much I could do on like synthesizers and stuff in that type of band.
You could only play do 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 so many times, right?
Exactly. So I picked up. I went out and got a candy apple red BC Rich Warlock, and
nice.
Taught myself how to play guitar. And actually, we had a video that did pretty well in Europe, and that's what I'm playing on that video, is that guitar.
Wow. It's funny you mentioned that because there's a big meme that's been like going crazy over just the last few days on the internet. It's a picture of Sylvester Stallone from like Rocky IV or something like that, and I'm pretty sure it's a Photoshop thing, but it's great. But he's playing. It's got a candy apple. It's a bass. I think it's like a Mockingbird candy apple red or it's a Warlock. Yeah, sitting there with it with his whole little tracksuit on and stuff like that. So that's the first little image that came to mind when you said that. That's great. Still have that guitar?
I do not.
Oh, I'd love to see it again.
I have no idea where it is. I don't even remember. I don't remember much about the 80s. Let's put it that way.
I got it. So let's zap ahead a little bit. So I'm obviously when you're doing high school thing, you were doing bands, I'm assuming, like in high school. I mean, obviously like jazz band and that kind of thing, but
No, I didn't do any of that. I actually I was an athlete.
Oh, okay, got it.
And my whole world was playing sports. And I got to the point where my doctor said, "You're done growing." And my main thing was football. And I mean, I could play, and I played at a big high school and all that, but they everybody else was getting really big.
Right.
Starting to get kind of painful. So
sure, yeah.
The only reason I would even consider going on past high school personally was if I was going to play sports. And when that happened, I started playing music. So I actually, the first band I was in, which is the band I was referring to before, I left home 3 weeks into my senior year of high school and went out to LA with that band. And,
wow.
Then ended up in Europe with them.
That's incredible. Wow. So you're actually doing like touring and stuff like that at that point.
Yeah.
A little bit here and there.
Yeah, touring was different. Like when the LA scene was like, we were in the same scene and playing with like Poison and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, sure.
That type of thing. And when you're there, you couldn't play all the time. Like you can play, I don't know, if you're in Cincinnati or Columbus, you can play every week if you went there. If you played, you couldn't play for like a month. Right,
because you had to promote the show, so it had to be like an event type thing, right?
Exactly. So we didn't play that much.
Right.
But we did have, like I said, we had a video and it did well in Europe. So we went over to London and lived there for a little while and played around there. And we're actually set to go on tour with a band called Nazareth.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then some crazy stuff happened with our government. Actually, it was like kind of a wild story. We were living in like right in by Piccadilly Circus in London.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of a crazy, in the 80s, crazy like punk scene with the big spike and all that stuff was going on.
Yeah.
And our government, we bombed Libya. And we used planes that were based in England.
Oh.
So people in England started burning American flags.
Oh,
and it was kind of dangerous for us to go out and
so this is like Margaret Thatcher, Reagan era, obviously, right? That kind of.
Yeah, this is 85.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
And so we things kind of were changing for us. Everybody knew we were the Americans that lived there,
Yeah.
And I kind of had an epiphany one night. I had done a little too much, and just decided that it was the wrong kind of music for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a rock star, but it wasn't really what I wanted to play.
Right.
So I kind of told the band, you know, I'll do the tour if you want, and I'm leaving afterwards. And they decided to go regroup back in the United States. We all came back, and then I moved on.
Oh, wow. So well, I mean, the elephant in the room question after that big story is how did, you know, was like the hookah, not necessarily hookah, or at least stylistically, was that kind of then where you kind of migrated to next, more kind of like, you know, roots rock, jam, whatever you want to call it, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I mean, when I got back, I ended up going down to Columbus. I had a lot of friends there, you know, I kind of.
And you, real quick, we haven't talked about this. You grew up and were born in like Cleveland area, right? Is that where you're still at right now, right? That's exactly. Correct. Okay, cool, awesome.
So I went down there, had a lot of friends there, and so on. Started a band that never really did anything, just with some friends and things like that. I was doing some of my originals that were it was more like a singer-songwriter thing. I mean, that's what I was all about, and I still like consider myself that more than anything else. You know, I like to write songs, and and then I joined a band called Local Color, which was well, I shouldn't say I joined it. The two guys who were sitting around doing a duo stuff, and I joined together and formed Local Color, essentially, which was basically a Grateful Dead cover band, but also did other covers as well, like Santana and other things like that. And at the time, I had never listened to the Grateful Dead. I didn't know any of their music. Yeah. So I was just playing. I learned all their songs, but I had never heard them. Right. I liked that because I didn't try to play just like them. Right. You know, and it kind of gave us a different. There were a lot of Grateful Dead cover bands at that time. They were all over Columbus. And this was like '89, I think, or something like that. And so I did that, and that was what pushed towards the hookah type thing. Yeah. Acoustic hookah type thing.
Anybody in that band besides yourself and hookah, or were you the only person from that band?
I was the only person as far as starting hookah goes, but later on, Ed McGee was in that band, Local Color, and then after that joined hookah, but we weren't in Local Color at the same time. Got it. Okay. That's pretty amazing.
And then so like hookah officially probably started what, like 92, 93-ish?
91.
Like 91. Wow, that's pretty amazing. And how long after, well, let me ask you this. Did you guys kind of, I mean, obviously I know you played around the Ohio area to start, but I mean, you started like touring pretty heavily at some point, right? Not too long into playing, right? Like all over, right?
Yeah, pretty. We started playing a lot quickly, and initially what we did is we spiraled out from Columbus. Right. So we started off playing a once-a-week gig in Columbus, and then that quickly started packing in. I mean, really packing in. It was every Wednesday night, and so we were like, oh, people like us or whatever, So let's go further, and we really just kind of did this out, and once we kind of were all throughout Ohio, and I don't know if I'd say, I mean, basically selling out places, but little places, they weren't giant places. And then we just went further, and instead of like going off into like these, full national tours, we just kind of like jumped out 1 or 2 states, came back, made a bunch of money, jumped out this way, came back. And then eventually it became like a national thing. Right. Probably over the course of, I'd say by 94 or so, we were, touring almost the whole country.
And then how long after that is when you kind of came up with hookah? Like Hookahville started not too crazy long after that, right?
That was 94.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that happened fairly quickly. And that, I mean, Hookahville was just an idea I had. At that time I was living in Fredericktown, Ohio, which is about an hour north of Columbus. Yeah. And kind of nothing going on there, middle of nowhere. Right. Just lived in the middle of some woods. And myself and the guy who I own the woods with were like, let's have a show here. Like, we should just, nobody was doing that at the time. There were no festivals. Yeah. Not in this part of the country at all. Right. And, I don't think we thought of it as a festival at the time. We were just like, let's play outside in the woods. Right, right. And we just kind of like put the word out. We didn't really advertise it, and like 800 people showed up or so. And again, it was like ding, ding, ding. I mean,
Was it just you all then, or do you have other bands on the bill with you at that point?
Interestingly enough, it was us. We pulled in a like a like a wagon basically, and that was our stage.
Okay, got it.
And the opener was Ed McGee.
Oh, okay.
Just solo, and this was again way before he was in the band. Well, years before he was in the band. So he opened up, and it was just us, and it went really well. A lot of people came, had a great time. So and that was happened to be on Memorial Day weekend, and so we were like, hey, let's do something on Labor Day weekend, and so. But we moved it to a venue called Songbird Center, which was about a half hour from there. And I don't know, 1,800 people showed up. And we were like, hey, wow, look at this. So we just, next year we did those 2 weekends again, and it just got bigger and bigger, and, kind of just followed it.
Right. And then did you get, because, obviously you started getting some pretty big name acts on the bill too as well. Was that a few years into it before you kind of like took that step, when you
it's hard for me to remember exactly, but I mean, I think that as we started adding more bands, we at the beginning and for a long time, I mean, the way we did it was, at first it was one night, you could camp the night before, it was just one night, maybe 3 or 4 bands. Then it became like, okay, we'll play 2 nights, but we're only going to have a couple bands with us. It wasn't just like festivals are now. I mean, we never had 100 bands or anything like that.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, at some point, I would say probably, if I were to guess, I'm going to say by 96 or 97, we just got this idea. It's like, well, what if we had, fill in the blank, come play with us, like, would they do it? And it turned out, as long as you paid them, they would come and play,
Of course,
and they would open for us. And it was like, wow, this is interesting. We started getting some really big names.
And that was I thought that was really, I mean, whether, I don't know how intentional it was or not, but it was really cool. It elevated you guys in a really cool way, because obviously, like you just said, it was like you'd have this pretty big name, Government Mule or whatever. That was one of the ones I remember kind of from a while back, but they'd be like your opener. It'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool, And
everybody was always our opener. And it really obviously helped propel our career, because we were having shows where we were the headliner, it was our show, but a lot of the people coming were not coming to see us, at least not
initially.
That was their main thing. And that kind of culminated in 1999, which was the first year we had Rat Dog with Bob Weir.
Oh, right.
When we did that, like, if you talk to a lot of people who are fans of ours now, they're like, that's what turned them on to us. They came to see him.
Right, sure.
And of course he was opening up for us, and
right.
got in with us and stuff like that too. But
of course,
then they were like, well, who is it? Who's Acoustic Hookah? We don't even know who they are. And they were coming from, as I recall, the way I remember it, every state. I mean, I would see the license plates, coming in. I mean, Washington State. I mean, there was like 1 or 2 festivals, I think, in the whole country at that point. So they were coming from everywhere, and that, that's what really gave us more of a boost than anything else. For sure. Just bringing in these names, and it wasn't just him. And we had, if I'm thinking back, we would always have we would have up and coming acts. So, we had Humphreys McGee before they were known. What do they call it? Like Galactic came a couple times.
I think Steve told me, I do this little side project called Headtronic with Steve Mollitz, who's in Particle. I think he told me Particle, that was, you were kind of one of they use you as a little launching pad too as well.
A lot of people got seen by a lot of people at Hookahville,
as
it turned out. So it worked well for everybody. But then we'd always bring in what we called at the time the dinosaurs. So we'd bring in these old acts. So now we're dinosaurs.
Right.
But, we had the Neville Brothers, which was amazing. We had David Grisman Quintet a couple times, which was amazing. I could throw out a lot of them, Dr. John. And so, it's like, I'm not doing it to name drop. I'm just doing it.
Right. No.
Like, that's what it became, and, it was fun. We overdid it in every way. We overdid everything. And we actually had agents calling us saying their bands want to play Hookahville. And a big reason was because these bands would go back after they played Hookahville and tell their agents about like our catering and stuff. I mean, we were bringing 5-star catering and like way above our means.
Right.
Like, way above our means, you know. We were only charging like $40-50 a ticket, something like that. So it was actually, this is a poster right here from one of the Bob Weir ones.
Wow, that's so incredible, man. That's really incredible. And you know, you obviously have like a machine. I mean, obviously there's the band, obviously, which is the creative input on that. But I'm sure you have a lot of people around you, kind of helping making that thing all come together, you know, too, as well, which has got to be challenging and I mean exciting, but also super challenging, I would think, you know.
Yeah, at that time we had I don't know what you call it, like we had an office.
Right.
An office with workers like our crew, you know, and we had one guy who was like Hookahville coordinator, or I don't know what his title was, but that's what he was. He worked all year on putting on 2 Hookahvilles. That's all he did.
Yeah.
You know, we had a manager of the band, and he played in the booking agent, you know, all that stuff.
Right.
So it really wasn't the band who was doing a lot of that. I mean, we had our but you know, we had people that were dedicated solely to, you know, handling that aspect of it.
Right. Well, let's jump ahead a little bit now to semi-current day, and this is a question I always ask every guest, and it's been interesting because this question has evolved. This show started back in March, right, when everything got real crazy, and you know, this question's evolved. But let's say maybe you know, fall this year, you know, September, October this year. And I understand you're not a genie, none of us are, but what do you think will be with live? I mean, outdoor stuff, you know, that's kind of starting to happen already, but like in terms of like touring, like, you know, in clubs, I mean, where do you think we're still a ways away from that, or are we getting close, or what's your gut on that?
It's a good question. I mean, that's what I'm asking myself all the time, because I do the booking for Hookah now, and I have for a while. So that's my thing, is like, do I want to contact clubs with them not knowing how it's going to be or not? And what I've been doing is I've been contacting what I would consider the bigger size clubs, because then if they have capacity limits, you can still get enough people in them to warrant playing, you know what I mean, as far as financially and everything, you know. And I think one of the last things you want to get into is working a deal with a club and then having to rework the deal as you're getting near, because all of a sudden they can't have this many people.
Of course. So
I don't know where it's going to be. I played a show last night with Trial by Fire.
Okay. Indoor
at the Summit Music Hall in
of course, I know the Summit,
and you know, they're at whatever capacity, I don't know, 25% capacity or something like that, you know? So I asked them kind of the same question, like, what are you going to do, like, what's going on here? And so we're doing like an every last Wednesday of the month thing.
Okay.
Like, what's it going to be like next month? And he said, well, on June 2nd we're opening up 100%.
Wow.
And until somebody tells us we can't, that's what we're doing. I don't know if that's the prevailing attitude or not. But if that's the attitude, I mean, so getting back to your question, my personal feeling is that, and I felt this before they came out and said that they're going to eliminate the mask mandates and things of that nature. I felt that there was going to be so much pressure once enough people had the chance to get vaccinated that things are going to have to open up full, because they're just going to have to. I mean, whether it's smart or not, everybody has their own opinion, right? But I think they're going to have to open up, and as long as things don't really turn around and go backwards, they've been going in the right direction, you know. If things don't go backwards, I feel like things will be opened up, and then it's just going to be a matter of
seeing what happens, basically.
I think so, you know. I mean, I think that, you know, people who are vaccinated, they, you know, feel that they have whatever kind of protection they feel. You know, I'm trying not to give my opinion on this now, but,
sure, I get it.
You know, I don't want to get political or anything, but you know, and then there's going to be the people who don't, I think there'll be places that will not want them in their establishment. Well, you know, I think Madison Square Garden in New York already, you know, I have a lot of friends that live in New York, and
I think you have to do the, show, I don't know if it's a card or if it's like, one of the little things on your phone, like before
Right.
you go, just to prove that you've been vaccinated, basically. Yeah.
And those can be faked.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
I've already seen the fake ones.
Yeah,
So,
right. That's a good point.
so the question is, are people honest? Are they not honest?
Right.
So, and how virulent is it going to be
Right.
with a certain amount of people being vaccinated? I don't know.
The big canary in the coal mine for me is going to be, I think that Jazz Fest, I believe, is in October. Now, granted, that's outside, but there's a lot more that goes with Jazz Fest, as you know, than just the actual. There's the clubs at nighttime, and as far as I know, it's going to be full capacity, and you're talking like 25, 30,000 type situation there. So. That's the one I'm going to be interested to see. It seems like most of especially like the touring, especially like the rock acts, like the Motley Crues and like that kind of stuff. It seems like most of them, like the Riverbend type acts, you're seeing more like 2022 is where it seems like they're putting, most of those. It feels like that, but for, I don't know. We're already in the twilight zone, so who knows what will happen next month? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, let's wind up with this. And, you mentioned some of the projects you have going on, besides Hookah, and Hookah, like just in general, what, like over the next, 4 to 6 months, what do you got, whether it be recording or live stuff? Like what do you got on the docket,
There's a lot going on, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hookah is about to release a disc. I still want to say album.
Right.
A recording.
Yes.
That's taken from 2 of our live streams that we did over the pandemic.
Oh, nice.
That should be coming out fairly soon. And then, we'll be playing, Acoustic Hookah will be playing, but not too many shows throughout the summer.
Yeah.
Mainly because the band wasn't comfortable as a whole getting on anything until everything got to a certain point. And by the time they said, yeah, go ahead and book us, most things were already booked.
Right.
So, I was able to get us on a couple of things. And then some of the things that were offered before the band said, okay, go ahead. I am doing with like McStarcats, which is a band I have like a trio with myself, Ed McGee, and Cliff Starbuck,
nice.
who was the original bass player.
Yeah.
We're doing, I think.
So Cliff is back in Ohio now then, right? Because wasn't he living in Colorado for quite a bit?
Yeah, he was in Colorado. He was in California, I believe.
Okay.
For a while. He's been back here for a few years.
Oh, has he? Okay, cool. I mean, I bumped into him a couple times. I just wasn't sure if he was back here permanently or not. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
So we're doing one show, one festival, Dream Fest, where we're doing just 3 of us.
Oh, nice.
And then we're also doing the Forest of Freedom, where we're doing the 3 of us along with Joe Marcinek and Tony Hazel on drums, as the first ever McStarcats electric set.
Oh, cool.
That should be cool. I have Cats and Jammers, which is another thing I do.
Yep, of course.
Which we're doing something at Brushy Fork in a couple of weeks on the 12th of June, I believe. And then I'm doing some solo things. I mean, I'm busy. And Hookah's playing intermittently throughout the summer, and we're working on, booking things for the fall, basically. And like I said, I mean, there's some things here and there that are, how it goes. It's like I got tentative holds everywhere.
Right.
Trying to put it all together and figure out what makes the most sense at this point. But at this point, we plan on playing. And getting back close to what we were doing before, anyways.
Right.
But like I said, I'm not sure about the smaller clubs. I just don't know how to handle that. And I don't know if the owners do either.
Right. Yeah, it's like the 3, like the anywhere from like the 300, 400 to like, 1,000 in that range. That's that weird little like spot. You don't know how to handle it. Yeah, it's a weird one there. Yeah.
Right. So just gonna book and play and hopefully do our thing, and hopefully everybody else does what they have to do to get things back to normal eventually. I don't think it's gonna be this year, maybe next year. Like you said, like 22 is probably more realistic to being the way it was. Right. If it ever gets to the way it was.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely in a new, music. I'm still not, it's so unsure. I know I have a lot of friends, you probably do too, in like the theater and movie business, and it's like, that everything that's happening with the movie business, I think was going to happen anyway, with like the way streaming's pretty much dominated everything and pretty almost shut down the theaters. You know, I mean, I don't think theaters are going to go away permanently, but I think the time to go see like a rom-com movie on a Tuesday night, or, you know, when you can stream it at home, I think those are kind of not going to happen anymore. And I think that was going to happen anyway, is I think this has sped it up a heck of a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, there'll be things that come out of this in the music industry that will stick. For instance, when we just did this last show with Hookah, and it was a pod show.
Yep.
People love the pods.
Yeah.
I mean, they absolutely loved the pods. And I look back and I'm like, wow, we've been missing out. We should have always had these, not everywhere.
Right.
But I mean, the idea now
that as a ticketing option. Yeah.
Exactly. It's an upgrade, as if you're going to like, you know, like to a pavilion like Blossom or something.
Right.
And they have the general seating, then they have box seating.
Right.
You go to a football game and they have club seats.
Right.
You know, it's like you can offer so much that way and give people their own space. Why doesn't every festival should have always been doing this?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I went and saw a friend of mine's band. They played, it was in Cincinnati recently. It was actually Turquoise, and Sammy had us, it was, you know, the same thing. It was a pod thing. And dude, it was weird. It was one of the first shows I've been to. So it was kind of like, you know, swimming with the sharks a little bit, but the, having that little pod area, you know, I was like, this is, you know, I mean, I'm an introvert, as a lot of us musicians are. I'm an introvert anyway, so to get out in the audience anyway is always a little weird to begin with. But I was like loving it because I could just watch your show. I had room to move, you know. It wasn't, I didn't feel, you know, it was great, you know.
Yeah, it was. I agree, and that's exactly what people said. It's like nobody's crushing me.
Right.
I can, you know, I can tell people, hey, you want to meet me? I'll be at pod, whatever.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah, there's that too. Right. Yeah.
A lot of benefits to it. So I think that'll stick. At least it will with Hookah's shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, at Hookahville.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, if I'm promoting any large festival, I'd be going pods for sure.
Right. That's a great idea. Yep. Yep. Definitely. Well, cool, man. Well, you know, I hope the next time, obviously, I see you will be hopefully in person, whether it be at a pod or on stage, one of the two. And, you know, always, you know, keeping an eye on what you're doing. So excited. Obviously, it's great having another person from Ohio on the show. You know, Ohio's we're such a unique part of the country. Where I always say, like, you know, we're like the, you know, that kid in the back of the class that's always like, has to yell a little bit louder to get, because we're not New York or LA. So we got to get, you know, attention, you know, so it's a different thing. Final question for you. How are your Indians doing this season?
It's like always very up and down.
That's the way. I mean, come on, I'm a Reds fan. It's same vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I watched all the games for the what do they call it, the Ohio Cup?
Yep.
I saw them all. They were.
Well, we got that final one. That's going to be like whoever wins it's the winner of the final cup. Yeah, which I think is in Cleveland. I'm pretty sure, because I think that's what got rained out, if I remember right. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. No great expectations. I mean, we'll see what happens, but we have pitching and we have no hitting.
We're the exact opposite. We're like smoke. You know, we got this guy named Jesse Winker right now who's going to probably be an all-star this year, and maybe he might even be the MVP. And he's just like crushing. Yeah. You know, so we're hitting it. Well, you can't win every game. You know, 12-8. You know what I mean? That's the problem. Right. You know, so that's where we're at.
Every game 2-1.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Gotta find that happy medium. So.
Yep, exactly. Well, cool, Dave. Thanks so much for being on the show tonight. And like I said, we'll stay in touch. And like I said, hopefully I'll see you sometime out there in the wilderness here very soon.
Absolutely, happy gigging. Man.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.